Welcome to Unexpected Journey, the show where each week top professionals share work wisdom and life lessons about their careers and what they have learned about human experience in the workplace. I'm your host, annebibb. Welcome back to Unexpected Journey. Today we have WIktor Doktór, who is the CEO of Pro Progressio, an organization focused on support of the outsourcing and modern business services industry. Welcome, WIktor.
Hi, Anne. It's nice to be here.
I am so excited to talk to you because you are focused on industry trends in an area of the world that I absolutely love. You're in Poland.
Yes, I am based in Poland. And yes, I do what I do now since 10 years already.
Wow, you're giving your age away already, this early in the game.
No, sometimes you have to.
So one of the things that I found interesting about you is that you actually started in this industry, well, on the banking side, and you kind of worked your way up before starting Pro Progressio. And you really have been in almost every side of the business. You worked in customer care, you worked in billing collections, you worked in telesales. What area of these do you think needs the most help from a customer experience standpoint?
That's a good question. But yes, you are right. In banking, I started in the late 90s. And yes, so this is again talking about the age. Yeah. But believe me or not, people do still work, those who started in 1990s. And yes, this was the beginning of a journey.
We're both right here, you know. Yeah.
Like dinosaurs, yeah?
Like dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's right. But of course, every time there was a touch to the customer experience or customer care. And to be honest, I think that in every type of job we take, we do touch the customer side, because sometimes this is internal customer, sometimes this is external customer, but we do have those relations which we need to take care of. We need to develop them, take care of them, and so on. And I remember that in those 90s when I started in the bank, my role was actually to support the director of the bank, because I was the only person in the bank who spoke English. Yeah, at that time. Now probably more. Yeah, at that time. Now most probably more people do so, but this was still like taking care of a contact with another person, like being, in the place where you had a contact with either suppliers or clients or coworkers or whoever. Yeah, so something
that was a
like
huge
that.
Benefit to you back then to be, to have multiple languages.
Yeah, my parents always wanted me to talk in English. So when I was 6 years old, that was much earlier than in 90s, then they started to...
We won't go that far back.
Oh, no, that's too far away. But I remember that it was a time when in Poland, it wasn't so obvious to learn English. Those were the times when we were taught Russian in our schools. English wasn't a language number one. But already at that time, my parents thought that this English might be something what I may use later on. And that's how this education started. And it was easier than to get the job, especially in the institutions or in the organizations where those contacts with foreigners was in place. Yeah, so I'm very much glad that my parents invested in this education, English education.
They saw the future.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, now that you were there, what do you think is the biggest need of customer experience in those areas?
I think that the biggest need is to understand the client, whoever the client is. And sometimes it is not so obvious because, the customer service departments, when they work, they usually work with the scripts. So they are not very much focused on the real needs of the client on the second, let's say, part of the line. Yeah, they just follow the script. They go with this, what they are told by their management or by the best practices of the company and so on. But I guess that the biggest challenge is to really understand who is contacting you and why, and to start this empathy to really understand this person you are talking to provide the required answer or to guide that person to achieve what this person wants to achieve. And then it doesn't matter if those are banking services, telco services, if this is the I don't know, collection control inquiry, if this is some kind of a financial topics and so on. So I believe that we are now in such times that this empathy in contacting of a second person is like the number one need, which we need to take care of and to work outside of a script, which the call contact center departments are used to do so for the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah, but thinking about that though, whose job is it to know the customer? Is it the company's job to know the customer, or is it the agent's job to know the customer who's calling it?
That's a very, very good question, to be honest, because the simple answer is that probably both. So the company should know who the client or who the customer of the company is and just create a customer service environment to be supportive to that customer. But the role of the agent who is on the front line, on the first line of contact with the customer, is to even know the customer better.
But how do they do that? How do they do that if they're not trained?
Yeah, that's of course a very difficult question to find a simple answer, because of course we as people who are on the first line of talking to the clients or customers, we should be all the time trained and developed with our skills. Those skills are being changed. The tools are being changed. Yeah, like tell me, who would talk about the chatbots like probably 15 or 10 years ago even?
No,
it just didn't
that's
exist.
That's like Back to the Future kind of stuff 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And now show me the call contact center department, doesn't matter if it's internal or external, who does not use the chatbots. Yeah. Nearly everyone is using it. But the question is, are we using them properly?
Oh,
are they implemented?
That's another show, Viktor.
Okay. So let's put it back. But coming back to your question, I believe, this is my personal belief, that we as people who run a certain job, in this case, the customer service job, we should all the time keep on developing our skills. And this is something what I am doing every day. Like I am listening now to 25 different podcasts, So one side is that I am recording podcasts, but learning. The second is that this is all the time keep on learning. And this is like, I want to know what are the trends. What are the current needs of the clients? What are the accepted behaviors? What are the tools which can be used? What kind of ways of communication should be used in a certain talks and so on? So I am having on my mobile device 25 different podcasts, which I am all the time listening to the new episodes. Yeah, and I believe this is something what should be done. Now, show me now again podcasts a couple of years ago. It again didn't exist. Yeah, and now we have a source of so many inspiring authors who are sharing their best practices, which you can use for free. Yeah, you don't even have to buy this kind of training skills or something like that. But of course, the better course, the better organized training is, then the better results you can get. Yeah, because besides the, let's say, content of a training, you get the feeling of a trainer. Yeah, so somebody who knows how to share this know-how, this experience, those important things which are then being used by you.
Okay, so I've trained you. I've given you all of the tools. You know how to use them. I haven't told you that you can do what is necessary to take care of the customer. So, yes, you know how to use the tool, but I won't let you do it. That's an entirely different issue.
It is. Yeah, that's true. But again, finalizing a training is one thing. Mm-hmm. To use the skills is a second thing. And to have, let's say, a direction from your company, how to use it and with whom to use it and in which scenarios to use it is again another story.
It's again another thing, which does tie into training, but it also ties into like your corporate vision, how far you want to go. Do I want to allow my frontline to give whatever credits is necessary in order to make our clients happy? Or do I want to give them a $50 or a $25 limit? Or do I want to say absolutely nothing can be credited? What is that boundary that I'm giving them as an extension of our business to be able to give a positive customer experience?
Yeah, those are important, absolutely things. The question is, if this can be regulated somehow, how big trust the employer or the company has with the agents, with the customer service agents, or however we call those people who are on the front line, how much we believe in them, how much we think that they really understand the needs of the business and the needs of the client. Yeah. So those are, again, two different things which we need to have in mind. I believe that if we have a team who we have trained, if we know that they do understand the business they are working with, if they understand the needs of the clients who may call with various topics, yeah, then actually agents should be allowed to go outside of a script and suggest really the best solutions for the customer, final customer, but having in mind the good of the company which they are representing. Yeah.
Absolutely. You just said one of my favorite words during
Which
that:
one?
trust. And I think that's a really big thing, because that ties not just into customer experience, that ties into employee experience. And if you don't have a good employee experience, you can't have a good customer experience. And we're hiring employees. Shouldn't we be hiring employees that we feel are good for the role, that we can trust, and that will trust us?
I would even say that we are not hiring employees. We are hiring people who become our employees. Yeah. And
Exactly.
and every person is different. So, okay, we have some standards. We have certain nationalities. We have certain culture, religions, whatever. Yeah. So there are some things which can be applied to any of us. But at the end of the day, each of us is different, and the companies need to understand the nature of each employee separately. We cannot be just put in one bucket. Yeah. Like, okay, so now we have agents. Yeah. But not every agent is the same. Yeah. We have different environment where we are coming from. We have different, let's say, even understanding of this, what our employers are sharing with us. Yeah. So sometimes we need to spend more time to explain some stuff to our employees than with the other team members. Yeah. So this is something what is extremely difficult for the employers, for the team leaders, for the supervisors, or for the top management to build this, let's say, people culture within the companies, how to create a good teams of people who are our employees.
I absolutely agree. And I think that is such an important thing. And that ties into everything that you do with those employees, from the moment that they interview with you, that they go through the onboarding, that they go through training. Everything has an impact. And then all of that feeds into everything that we were talking about previously, which is that interaction that the customer has on the phone. And so it's really interesting how that holistic thread, it's like the butterfly wing and how it can cause a hurricane on the other side of the world. That little interaction that you can have with that person from that first moment of interview, and how it can impact a phone call 6 months down the road.
Yeah, definitely. From the onboarding process, you already show to an employee how you are treating that employee. So you are showing how this employee should treat the client or the customer at the very end. Yeah. So you are giving some kind of a direction, some kind of a good advices, some kind of advisory, what you expect from an employee. And then this should be repeated with the relations with the final customer. So if the employee is treated properly, is educated properly, is having a clear line how to grow within the business, those are the things which this employee will share further with the final clients or customers.
Fantastic. Viktor, I'd like to take this moment just to let everybody kind of get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Have you ever played a game called This or That?
I don't think so.
It is not painful, I assure you. So it's where I give you two words or two phrases and you pick one.
Okay.
You pick the one that resonates with you the most, and you tell me why.
Okay, good.
So, the first one, salad or sandwich?
Salad or sandwich?
Yes.
Sandwich.
Why?
Why? Okay, that's a small story. Whenever I go to any visits to my either potential clients, or I am visiting my existing clients, or I am just going to some kind of a new places, after a long journey to that place, my favorite place to go is a Subway.
Subway?
Yes, where I buy a sandwich. So this is like my welcome to the city, welcome to the place where I go, because I am usually quite hungry after a long journey. And this is what I start. How it started, I have no idea. But I can say that anywhere I go, I find a Subway cafe or Subway restaurant, however it is called, and I buy a sandwich.
You hear that, Subway? We need to see if you can sponsor Pro Progressio because he goes to you everywhere he goes.
Yeah, I
So
bought so far so many sandwiches over there. Yeah, yeah. They could become a sponsor.
there you go. All right. How about physical work or mental work?
That's a tough one. It's really hard to provide a good answer, because I believe personally that there should be a combination or both. Yeah. So it is not enough just to focus on a physical part of our development, or how we feel, how we grow, and so on. And also from the mental side, I believe it needs to go in pair. So I personally spend every day on some kind of a small exercises. I am not a big sport guy or whatever like that, but I do like to have some kind of a small activities. I always take care of how many steps I take during the day and so on. But at the same time, I am all the time thinking about my mind. So about my approach to life. I am all the time educating my kids that, okay, everything what we have in our heads, if you want to achieve something, you can do that. It is just the way how you think you can do it. So I believe this is both, but probably more important is this mental one. So what we have in our heads, not in our muscles.
And sometimes, I don't know about you, but sometimes, depending on what I'm working on, if it's something really hard and really in depth, I can be much more exhausted after a hard day of mental work than a day of bike riding or a day at the gym. Like that mental work can be physically exhausting.
Oh, definitely. It creates this kind of situation that, especially when you are working really hard on something what is like completely new, or you are working under a big pressure of time and you need to develop some kind of a creative ideas. So then, yeah, you can be much more tired than after an hour in the gym.
All right, this last one, it is the most important one and is going to give people a real view into who Viktor is. So I'm setting the stage that this is the one that is most important. Are you ready, Viktor?
Go ahead. Shoot.
Batman or Superman?
Oh, Jesus. Batman or Superman?
Yes.
That's, I wasn't expecting this kind of a question.
Well, that's why it's there.
Okay. If I were to choose, probably a red tiger, because this is in the logo of my company, and the tiger means that, and the red tiger means that I want to be aggressive in this what I'm doing, but from the positive point of view. And this red means that this is like a really good target to go forward. So having that in mind, probably more red is in the Superman rather than in Batman. And I guess that's really a tough question. I don't have any super skills inside of my side, so probably not Superman rather than Batman, because he was a real man using various tools or gadgets and not having a super views or strength or something like that. So looking at that side, I am not a very special person with a special skills. Rather, all of them I have learned, or I have found out how to use them. So from that perspective, probably Batman is closer to this, who I am and what I am doing, because those are not miracles. Those are all things which could be learned by anyone. So just a matter of time, probably, how to develop certain skills inside of you.
Well, I would disagree with that, Viktor. Knowing you as I do and how long I have, I would say you are not to sound like Liam Neeson, a very special man with a very special set of skills. So, on that note, heading back into our questions, you, as we said, analyze industry trends. I would love to hear your perspective on what we should be expecting in 2023.
That's a good question. And probably if I had this glass ball, I could see everything inside.
I know it's behind the curtain. Go ahead, pull it out.
You think so? Well, I will still leave it behind the curtain. I think that this next year probably is not going to be a year of huge changes. So that's my first answer. The second thing is that there are a lot of voices on the market that one day the artificial intelligence or the bots will have much bigger impact on the customer experience area or customer service areas than they have at the moment. But I don't think it will still happen next year. Of course, we do have more tools. They are, let's say, if we can say so, more wise or more useful. Yeah, they are added to various areas of our life, but they are still not on such a level to replace the human to human relation. And certainly they are much less empathic than we as human are. So I believe that next year we will still be developing the artificial intelligence and the bots, but they will work next to us, not replacing us as people. So that's one thing. Second thing is that probably the world is going still to become more smaller place than it was this year or the previous year or 2 years behind, because every year is the world becomes smaller. Distance between people is much shorter, and it will be shorter still. Yeah. So, and this is not because that it is easier to fly or travel or something like that, but this technology which is all around us and this openness on other people makes us to create stronger, let's say, links to each other, and is making the world much easier to have new friends, to find new business, to get new stuff all around you. So I guess that this world is still going to be much smaller place than it is at the moment. But from the positive point of view, it is not that we will be too crowded, even though there are over 8 billion of us already in the world. So this is it. And what else? I think that from the outsourcing perspective, we will have another step to outsourcing. So I believe that outsourcing will become more and more popular than it was already so far. We are, as businesses, analyzing very much all of our costs, which we need to have in our businesses. And it looks like that because of this knowledge about the world, about who can supply you what, and this technology which stands behind, is that we will be much more open to use the outsourcers. There are more of them. They are more skilled. They are much better. They are very much oriented on targets, and they are just providing a good type of work. To be honest, a couple of years ago, my knowledge about the outsourcing destinations worldwide was, from perspective where I am sitting like now in here, was like zero. I thought that there was India. I thought there was an Eastern Europe, and there was a little bit in Mexico. Yeah. How my knowledge was low. Because now, from the perspective of time, I can see that on every continent in our world, we do have outsourcers providing any type of service you are requiring. The question is to know them, what they are good at, where to find them, how to talk to them, and so on. But you can have a good outsourcer just next door, just next street, or you can have 2,000 kilometers away from you, but still in the same time zone. Like you are in the middle of states. Probably the best destination for the nearshoring or outsourcing for the United States is now Mexico, Panama, Colombia, or this kind of
hundreds of outsourcers, either within my exact time zone or 1 hour ahead or within 2 hours behind. It's amazing because of everything in LATAM and even in Canada.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the beauties of, what I've been able to do and help organizations and outsourcers move to 35 different countries and slowly continuously more is that we've been able to see what you just said. They're everywhere.
But now I will tell you something, that they are everywhere. But there is no single place, even internet, when you can find information about all of them, where they are, what they do, how they work, what they are good at, and so on. I know that there are a couple of web pages which are trying to do some kind of a catalogs of such organizations, but this is still not in place. Yeah. So if somebody is looking for an outsourcer, this is still difficult to find information about the proper one, where to find such company, why they are good at something, what is the reference list, and so on. So I believe that this is not a target for next year, but probably next couple of years, that we as an industry should work on having a short way to find a proper business partners, especially in the customer service area or customer experience area, and so on. So this is a long-term work, still probably not going to happen next year.
Yeah. And you're right. There are several different organizations that are trying to build those lists, but they're just, I wouldn't even say 0.25% of all of the outsourcers that are in the world right now.
It is. Yeah, I fully agree. There are a lot of associations, there are a lot of chambers and so on, and they do have fantastic group of people and companies, but they are usually oriented on a certain territory or something like that. There is still a lack of such a really global player who might take care of it.
So, in those situations, usually it is the outsourcer that has to pay to be on the list. And then the customer gets free access to the list. Do you think that's why those lists are struggling to grow?
Maybe. I think yes, especially from the perspective if you are a smaller player. Yeah. So sometimes you can be a good player, but small one, and with a limited budgets just to pay to be on such lists and so on. But my personal view is that to be visible, to be more visible worldwide, we need to be visible in internet. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How to be visible in internet? You can become a member of whatever page and just be listed over there. But certainly it is easier to find you if you are sharing your best practices, if you are sharing a content, because this is liked by Google or by any searching devices. Yeah. If you show your person as being an expert in a certain area, then if somebody is looking for this kind of information, sooner or later will come to you, will find you. Yeah, we'll just have it easier to find somebody who knows answers to certain areas. So my personal advice to any service supplier is share your know-how, share your knowledge. Don't worry that it is going to be copied. It is not, because this is only you who know how to implement those things to be live, to be used properly by your clients and so on. I personally share a lot of what I am doing, and I don't care if somebody is going to copy that. If yes, that's even better, because somebody thought I'm doing some kind of a good job. Yeah. So, and still it is not stopping me to grow my business, to grow the list of the companies who are working with me, because they trust me. They know I know something. They know right. I am a reliable person and I'm not behind any big walls or whatever like that. Yeah. Why not to do it?
So you mentioned AI. How do you see AI factoring into 2023 for the outsourcers?
Probably it is going to be used much more often. Probably it is going to take care of more processes than it did so far. But as I said, I am not expecting revolution in that. I am rather expecting that there will be more players to try to work with AI. They will allow AI to be used on different levels of their business activities. But I am not thinking that this is going to be a dramatic change within the next 12 months.
You think it's more of like a 2024 boom or 2025?
I'd rather think that this is rather those 2-3 years still. First of all, to have the quantity of companies who already are within AI, let's say, environment, because they will make sure that this is the good way to go for. They will see that this AI is really helpful and is not like only a cost element in the budget. that it is really doing a good job, and you can see the results of it. Now we are in such a times where already there were a couple of investments in AI, but were they already calculated that it was a well-spent money? Do people see that there is a return on investment in this kind of a technology or approach or environment? I believe this is still too early to have this kind of analysis. But once we will have the full analysis that there is return on investment on AI, I am more than sure that then companies will spend much more money on that and have the AI present in much more areas of the business they are running, which they are running at the moment.
I think that the return on investment is going to be huge when it's good enough to be able to implement across multiple organizations.
Yes, but you need to do it wise. Okay, if somebody has millions on the bank account, it is quite easy to spend them on some kind of a fancy AI tools. Yeah. The question is, do the companies really need to? Yeah.
But exactly, that's it. Why just put a fancy tool in place just to put a fancy tool in place? You have to do it in a way that you're going to be able to reduce your spend overall and get a huge return for that AI.
Yeah, exactly. You need to first understand your processes and understand your clients, your investors, whoever, from every touch, every side of your business. And then step by step, try to optimize this, what you are doing. AI can be used for optimization of the business on various levels, various layers and so on. But you need to do it wise. To spend money, it's easy, but to spend it wise.
It is easy. I'm familiar.
Yeah, but to spend it wise, probably it is not as easy.
My kids need to learn the wise lesson.
Each of us need.
Yes. So what are your suggestions? What do CEOs need to be prepared for going into 2023? What is your advice to them as they're listening today?
Listening is a good word. I believe that we should, and this is basic thing, we should more listen than just talk. My work, what I do for the last 10 years, it's more listening than talking, even though I talk a lot. Yeah. But it's still more listening and more observing and more finding out what are the real needs of people, of companies who I am talking to. So I believe that in customer service nature, it is to provide the best possible service to your client, to your customer. And how to do it is to know your customer and your client. So I believe the CEOs should be very much open on this, what the clients and customers are telling us. Sometimes it may be nice, it may not be nice things which we hear, or which we listen to. But still, this is something what can make us to think how to change our business, or how to grow our business, or how to develop our business to be more in line with the expectations of our final clients. So more listening, more understanding, and more going outside of a script. So I already said that, it is not enough to have a perfect script to follow when you answer the phone. Sometimes it is good to ask a human-to-human question and to find out where you are, what do you really need, how can I help you? This is this first simple question which we hear calling to any call contact center. How can I help you? But not as a phrase from the script, but a question from a real human. So I guess that would be my advice.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Wiktor. It's always fun and great to talk to you, but it's really a pleasure to have you on the show today. Well, two questions. Why would someone reach out to you? And then two, how would they reach out to you?
Thank you, and very much for inviting me. It was really a pleasure to have this chat. And I'm so happy that we had already a couple of chats earlier on, face-to-face in Las Vegas, for example, or having it online. But answering to your question, so why? If somebody is interested in the outsourcing, in the modern business services industry, especially in Europe, so I am the person who can deliver a lot of information from that area. We run here the business media, which are very much focused on those subjects. We are running Business Club, where we have members from this industry, and we are every day analyzing the other reports, trends, whatever is happening within this industry. So if somebody is interested in that, then I am probably quite a good source of information and with the number of answers which I can provide. And how to do it? Probably the easiest way is to go to LinkedIn, to my LinkedIn profile, because I am over there. I am quite active on the LinkedIn every day. So every day I post something, I read a lot over there, and certainly it is very easy to find me over there.
And Wiktor has his own podcast, which we will be linking in the description of ours as well. His is While We Are Weekly. I believe yours is daily, correct?
The daily one is the Polish.
The daily one is the Polish.
So probably the listeners of your podcast are not so much familiar with the Polish language.
We never know. We don't know who we're going to get.
You never know. But yes, the Polish one is a very frequent one. Within the last 3 years, I have recorded 752 episodes.
Oh my gosh.
So that was quite a lot. But I do have an English one, which is called Good Morning BSS World. And this one is like weekly or bi-weekly. It depends on the topics or on the people who I am inviting to those talks.
Okay, wonderful. So again, we'll link that below. We'll provide links to Wiktor's LinkedIn and his website as well. Thank you, Wiktor. It is always a pleasure. And we will see everybody next week.
Thank you, Anne, very much.
As we wrap the episode up, we would like to take this time to thank you for joining us this week on Unexpected Journey. Our guest information will be linked in the episode description, along with a link to our company website, remoteevolution.com, and our host website, annebibb.com. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share on your favorite podcast app and on our YouTube channel so that you never miss an episode and we can continue to bring them to you. Let us know your thoughts on what we discussed in the comment section. And once again, thank you for joining us. We hope to see you again next week for another episode of Unexpected Journey.